You got to give credit where credit is due. Fair is fair. And we're learning now that progressives are not backing down in this fight over the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill. The entire time it's been a two-track process. Hey, you want the traditional infrastructure bill to pass? Fine. It goes hand in hand with the human infrastructure bill. Now, again, what's in the human infrastructure bill? Child tax benefit, universal pre-K, paid family and medical leave, tuition-free community college, lower prescription drug costs, dental, hearing, and vision in a Medicare expansion, housing, home care, major climate money, immigration, lower Medicare age, Obamacare expansion. There's a lot. There's a lot of things that I would argue are even more important than the infrastructure bill, because the infrastructure bill on its own is watered down. This is the real deal Holyfield in terms of good, very, very good social safety net policies, social democratic reforms. So, been very clear from day one. It's a two-track process. We're going to pass two bills or we're going to pass none of the bills. Well, now the so-called moderates, really they're corporate extremists, they're threatening to tank the whole thing because they're not budging. They want to strip out some of the most popular provisions. They want to strip out universal pre-K. They want to strip out free college. They want to make sure we don't lower prescription drug prices because they're that button-owned by Big Pharma. So, now you have Pelosi meeting with the progressives for about an hour and a half the other day, probably trying to press them like, listen, we might have to wiggle, we might need some wiggle room because they're saying the thing and they might not bend, and what are we going to do? They never bend. So Pramila Jayapal, the head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, will the left fold or will they hold the line?
How many members are there of the House Democratic Progressive Caucus?
There are 96 members, and over half are absolutely committed to making sure we deliver both bills at the same time.
So 48 Democrats will vote against the House infrastructure bill if it does not come with the budget reconciliation package. Is that right?
More than half of our members will vote for both bills. And this was the deal, Jake, that came out of the Senate when progressive senators passed the bipartisan bill in the Senate. It was on the specific understanding and commitment that both bills would move together. And so now we want to make sure that both bills are moving together, and we're going to hold to that commitment. And so, yes, half our members, more than half our members, will not move the bipartisan bill without the reconciliation bill being passed.
Boom. There you go. There you go. That's better than we could have imagined. Because listen, the Congressional Progressive Caucus is fake. They're not all congressional progressives. Some of them are part of the centrist third way caucus or whatever, New Democrat coalition, and part of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which is a contradiction in terms. It makes no sense. So the overall number's fake anyway. But to have more than half of the Congressional Progressive Caucus say, no, we're not budging. These two bills go together, or go fuck yourself. That's all we ever wanted. That's all we ever needed. Because this is the way that you get a seat at the table, and this is the way you can actually win some negotiations. So, what's going to happen from here? I don't know. Because Manchin and Sinema in the Senate, probably 7 or 8 others, including Warner, and a number of corporate extremists in the House, they are truly committed to greed and personal profit and raising campaign money from Big Pharma and from the fossil fuel industry. And so maybe the whole thing does get tanked. Maybe the whole thing does fail. But you know what? If that's the case, so be it. Because you have to let them know we're serious. You have to let them know we're willing to shoot the hostage. We're not going to get rolled anymore. Because what are progressives known for other than getting rolled? All they do is get rolled. So you're going to make them bend to your will. You're not bending to their will. So listen, ultimately, it's very possible it all goes down in flames. So be it. We fight because it's absolutely necessary for the future of this country to fight. It's absolutely necessary for the people of this country that they get their will in what's supposed to be a constitutional republic and a representative democracy. When every provision polls massively popular, you can't just let the corporate extremists pull out all those provisions. And what you're left with is a hollow shell of what used to be a decent bill. So good, stand there and fight. Now, I will say, ultimately, reconciliation is reconciliation. So you have to reconcile that. Now we're in the process where you reconcile. Okay, how do we get final provisions out of this? So they're gonna start chipping away and make some changes. Of course, it's got to go through the committees and come out of the committees. And you guys know I've been saying all along, you'll know it's a good bill. Now, this is subjective. This is my opinion, but I think I'm in the ballpark of that which is reasonable for this entire conversation. If the bill is $2 trillion or more, and you keep in a lot of the good provisions, and you still have some climate stuff, that's a deal I will take. Soon as you drop under that $2 trillion number, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So I would vote for a bill that's $2 trillion or more on the human infrastructure side, plus the original bipartisan infrastructure deal. I'd vote for them together. If it gets under $2 trillion for the reconciliation bill, the human infrastructure bill, don't talk to me. I'm done. I'll vote it down. That's what I'll do. So we'll see what happens, but it's good that progressives are flexing on this. Now, my guess is if you get a number that's $2 trillion or more, the more than half of the Congressional Progressive Caucus will say, okay, that we could vote for. And then you might have the votes. But it's also very possible, at this late date, that we get nothing. But you know what? The only way you have a seat at the table is to play hardball from time to time. Is to be willing to shoot the hostage. Because then they're going to listen to you. Then the next time there's a negotiation, they're going to have to give more. Because you're driving a hard bargain. This is politics 101. This is negotiation 101. You know, if you're going to buy a car, a used car, let's say, and the sticker price is $15,000, you got to come in at like 10. And then that makes it so that when they respond to you, they're going to try to meet you halfway between the 15 that's on the sticker and the 10 that you just asked for. You don't go in saying, yeah, I'll pay full sticker price. You have to rep your side in the negotiation, and that's what they're doing. Now, I don't know if them saying $3.5 trillion or bust, I don't know if them saying that, my guess is it's the negotiation position, which is the correct thing to do. I don't know how many of them truly say, like, no, there's actually zero wiggle room for any negotiation at all. You know what I mean? So, because if that's the case, then I would say they're even being a little too unreasonable and harsh, because the whole process of reconciliation is that it is going to be negotiated further from when you start the process, from when it goes through the committees. So I don't know. There's a chance that even if you craft a deal that's $2.5 trillion, the progressives will say, no, we want $3.5 trillion. And in that case, then I would all of a sudden be seemingly to the right of the House progressives. But as of right now, credit where credit is due. This is the exact right position. This is the exact right message to be sending. And Joe Biden better get to work, because we got way more lefties who are willing to tank this thing than right-wingers, than right-wing corporate Democrats. So that means Joe Biden needs to get to work trying to convince the right-wing Democrats, the corporate extremists. And like I said, carrot or stick approach, make them a deal they can't refuse. And if you don't, then you know what? It's on you. And I like the way Jayapal is framing this too. She's been saying all along, in every interview that she's done, she says, we are in favor of passing both bills as per the original plan. So we agreed to the plan. We have the negotiation already. This is what it is. So they are the ones who are holding the bill hostage. They are the ones who are breaking their word. We're the reasonable ones. We're just saying, hey, we're for both bills together as per the original plan. So in other words, she's refusing to say, like, we're against anything. That's a great negotiation tactic and a great way to frame the discussion, to put the onus back on the corporate extremists, and that's exactly what they are, by the way.